Barnstable residents will soon have an easier time recycling at the transfer station. We have details on planned changes to traffic patterns on Route 28 in Hyannis. Plus, find out when the next flu shot clinic will be held in Barnstable. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, December 11th, 2014. I'm Sarah Mannel. Singlestream Recycling is coming to Barnstable beginning in the new year. Transfer station customers who recycle will no longer have to sort their plastic, aluminum cans, paper, and bottles into separate containers. Instead, all recyclables, with the exception of corrugated cardboard, will be combined together for disposal. Also beginning January 1st, residents who wish to recycle only must obtain a sticker free of charge at the transfer station. Changes to traffic patterns in Hyannis are coming to Route 28. Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin talked with Cape Cod Commission Technical Services Director Glenn Cannon about what residents can expect.
So a number of transportation topics to talk about today. Why don't we start, we were just talking off air a little bit about Route 28 and Burses Way, plans for improvements to that intersection, and I understand a public hearing is coming up a little later this month.
Correct. On December 22nd, right here at Barnstable Town Hall, there'll be the 25% design public hearing for that project, and that's a chance for the public to view the design plans as they sit right now, and then to make comments on them and to see if MassDOT will make some changes to them. I do know the town had a pre-25% design public hearing, so it'll be interesting to see what changes have already come out of that from the public to see what's happening. You know, that's a large-scale project. I believe it's over $4 million. Significant improvements along there. I will give MassDOT some credit. The project started as a Route 28 Bierce's Way project, and then there were pedestrian fatalities along that section of Route 28 in between Bierce's Way and the Cape Cod Mall. So MassDOT extended that project to include that section. Put a raised median along there, making it much safer for both motorists and pedestrians. So
absolutely,
I thought they did a good job addressing that.
So are there roadway changes in this? Are there traffic signal changes, crossing,
Correct.
crosswalk intersection, that sort of thing?
Extremely complicated, left turn lanes at Route 28 and Bierce's Way, so significantly hoping to change that, particularly, the queuing coming up from Bierce's Way from downtown Hyannis.
Every day.
All right, it is terrible. That you can sit in that queue. I can't think of how many cycle lanes.
Right.
3-4 cycle lanes
exactly.
normally, and every single day. So, trying to address that. I know they were working with the Hess gasoline station because they need a little bit of property.
Yep.
So, great for that business owner who really put the public first instead of his own business first.
Great.
So that's great cooperation we see from a local business, really stepping up and helping out the community, and that's a great thing. Something that's really needed on these large scale projects. And so they're also making it 4 lanes from Bierce's Way over to the Cape Cod Mall entranceway. 2 lanes in each direction with a raised median. I want to make sure that's very clear because that makes it a lot safer.
Right.
We've seen other sections of town where you have a 4-lane cross section without a raised median. It becomes more hazardous.
Right.
The higher rate of accidents, more severe accidents, you get higher speeds. So it should be better traffic flow along there. And then also there are enhancements to the pedestrian crossings at the Cape Cod Mall traffic light and then at the Route 28 Bierce's Way intersection. I know we did hear from the public. The public likes that mid-block crossing where they're cutting straight across from, I can't think of the side street right now, Miramar.
Okay, Miramar.
Miramar over to the Cape Cod Mall itself. It's a direct line. That's where the public really does cross. But MassDOT has made a decision to make it the safest plan possible, and the safest plan is to bring the pedestrians with a sidewalk down to the Cape Cod Mall traffic light. They push the button, traffic stops, you cross the street, you walk back to the mall. But unfortunately, I'm sure it's at least 300 yards or so of additional walking, and that's an inconvenience to the public. So that's the balancing act you always have to do in transportation. There is constantly this with pedestrian crossings between the safest and the most convenient. So MassDOT, I know, did take a look at putting a crosswalk at that mid-block. That isn't always the safest thing for pedestrians. Excuse me, especially on a 4-lane cross section where you have 2 lanes of traffic coming in each direction. With the raised median, it would give pedestrians pedestrian refuge, but it still can be very dangerous.
Exactly, and I think that people are still, as many people do cross that road there, the drivers aren't really thinking that that's a place where people cross, and so certainly not the safest place in the world to cross the street on foot.
Correct, and I think particularly when you get into a corridor like Route 28 where you have traffic signals spaced out, I think motorists do become accustomed to stopping at the traffic signals, but then once they get that green light, they're accustomed to driving up to the next traffic signal and not really looking for that mid-block crossing. So sometimes it's a false sense of security to give the pedestrians, so you have to be very careful about that.
Great. So again, December 22nd right here at Town Hall will be a public hearing on that. People can check it out. I want to talk, Glenn, a little bit about the Route 6 clearing. I know that was in the news several weeks ago. Some accidents occurred because of that clearing. Tell me a little bit from the Commission's perspective of what's going on there.
Sure. I think the big thing is that we really weren't notified of the project. I think as most people on Cape Cod saw, they went out and they did some tree trimming at first. They were cutting down some selected dead trees. They were cutting back the branches. It didn't seem that big of a project. And then the next thing we know, they're just clear-cutting swaths of Route 6 became an alarming rate. And again, the fact that there's really no discussion about that, and that's because, it's a MassDOT maintenance project versus one of these Route 28 Bierce's Way where they have a design public hearing. The public gets to talk about it. They also have these 25% design public hearings, so the public gets to see the plans before they're implemented. It never happened on Route 6. They just went out and did the work, and now we're reacting to it. And again, now you've lost the trees, so you really don't have a chance to bring it back. We're going back to with MassDOT. We're working with them to come up with some kind of replanting scheme, but it's never going to be back to the way it was before. And then, unfortunately, they did cut down the trees, and now there are some crossover accidents that have occurred there. One significant one, I believe a gentleman from Barnstable who lost his life at exit 4. Horrific accident. So, I think they're not really well thought out about how they're going to address the overall impact of that project. Not just the tree clearing, but again, now the crossover accidents.
Indeed.
So they did put up some guardrail along Route 6 to make it safer right now, but we still need to talk to them about the long-term plans, how Route 6 is going to look, going forward.
Absolutely.
So a lot of work to do there.
Indeed. Safety always very important. Let's talk a little bit about commuter rail. I know that obviously we have the weekend train, the Cape Flyer, been a wild success. So there's been talk about constructing a new train station, but is there a possibility that we could ever see commuter service here on Cape Cod?
I believe there is a possibility to see commuter service on Cape Cod. And when I say on Cape Cod, I really do mean in Bourne, Buzzards Bay Center, north of the canal. It seems very viable right now to bring commuter rail service down to Buzzards Bay. That stop is before the Cape Cod Canal, before the Cape Cod Canal rail bridge. I think that's a significant point. From what I've been told about the rail service, I think there's really 2 significant burdens. One being the rail bridge itself, and then the type of track. Once you get on this side of the canal, it's tack track versus the welded track, which is north of the canal. So they can drive a lot faster north of the canal than they can south of the canal. So that's an impediment also.
A reminder to boaters, renewal season is coming. On January 1st, marina waitlist renewals and mooring permit waitlist renewals will be sent out in the mail. The marina slip renewal invoices and mooring permit renewals will also be sent out. Slip and mooring permit renewals are due by January 31st, and waitlist renewals must be submitted by February 15th. Don't forget to check your mail after the first of the year and submit those forms. Any questions can be directed to the Harbor Master's office. Well, it's that time of year again, and I am not talking about the holiday season. We are right now in the middle of cold and flu season. The town of Barnstable will be hosting a flu clinic next Monday, December 15th at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center from 10 to noon. Residents can purchase a flu shot for just $3. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will have our arts and culture segment. We'll find out what's happening at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannell.